So today I'm going to do something different, and I think I'm going to try to do more of these, but I was in the Halloween mood, and since I just watched the second Goosebumps movie in theaters this week, I wanted to go back and watch the Goosebumps, show that came out in the 90s that I grew up with. And I kind of want to just talk about every episode, but I don't know how long it will take. It'll be just every once in a while kind of thing. But since it's Halloween, I thought, why not? I might as well go back and watch some Goosebumps episodes. Now, the first episode on Netflix's list that I watched was The Girl Who Cried Monster. And this is one that I grew up with a lot. This is the one I remember. There's a lot of Goosebumps episodes that are kind of forgettable. But this one is more memorable because I like the book. I liked how it's about this Lucy girl who keeps scaring her little brother Randy. She keeps saying that there are monsters, for example, at the beginning of the episode, she says, there's the toe biter in the bushes, and, she puts her foot in and she screams, no, help! And then he just screams, and then it cuts the commercial break, which, as a kid, I mean, I think that's funny as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, she's not gonna get her toe bit off. But it's just funny seeing that as an adult when they do the commercial break just to scare the kids. But I like that this character, Lucy, is just so fixated on scaring Randy, her little brother. And then she goes to return this book to Mr. Mortman, who is this librarian. And she goes back after hours, and he's eating bugs. Literal bugs. And he becomes a monster. His face becomes a monster with a couple eyes flying out. And the effects on that aren't too bad either. It's a lot of practical, pretty much. Basically just practical. And I really like that. I don't know why. This one stuck with me more than a lot of Goosebumps stories, and I always forget about it, because I always think of Night of the Living Dummy, I always think of Haunted Mask. If I thought about one in the top of my head immediately, it's one of those two. But this one was really solid too. And I thought it was awesome that the twist in this is that after Lucy figures out that Mr. Mortman is a monster, she runs home. Mr. Mortman comes over for dinner, and then you realize the twist where Mr. Mortman's like, what's for dinner? And then their parents are like, oh, you. And then they grow fangs, and then they eat him. And you don't see it, but they literally eat Mr. Mortman. They eat him alive, they kill him, they murder him. And the kids are just sitting there what do we say? And then the parents are like, yes, we are monsters, and you can't tell anybody about us, and you will eventually get your training fangs in and become just like us. And the kids are all smiling and happy, yay, cool, I get to become a monster. And they said, oh, there haven't been any monsters here for 20 years, and we gotta keep it that way. And my implication, even though it's a kid's show, is that they've flat out murdered many monsters, ate them alive. But they didn't go too into that because it's a kid's show, but that just cracks me up. And then, funny enough, they have that little scare at the end of the show, like they always do in most of these, where it's you see somebody outside, it looks like a monster, they're like, oh no, what do we do? Or Lucy says, what do we do? And then the parents are like, let him in, because they're going to eat him. And then they let the person in, and it's just Aaron, that friend that was in the beginning of the episode. That darn Aaron, he just was wearing a monster outfit. So then they just thought he was a real monster, but he wasn't. And then I love the last line where he's like, what's for dinner? He said, Mr. Mortman said. And then the dad just says, oh, you. And then Lucy just goes, and then he just says, you like cherry pie? And he holds up a pie in a really cheesy way. And they all just laugh. And it ends. The thing I like about this episode is that I feel like most of these will be like that on rewatch, but this one is just really silly. I mean, it's obviously going to be silly. They're all going to be silly episodes because they're for kids and they're silly. They're not trying to be super serious or really scary. They're supposed to be just a little bit frightening just to make the kids excited and kind of scared, but not anything like what I usually watch. But as a kid, I love this, and I still enjoyed this episode. I thought this was a fun first episode. Or if it's the first episode. I don't know how Netflix works with this Goosebumps show. I don't know if it's in literal order they were filmed, but but I'm going by the Netflix order and how they're put on there. So episode 1 was The Girl Who Cried Monster, and rewatching this was an awesome watch. I really enjoyed this one, and I wonder what everybody else thinks of this episode. So tell me down below if you've seen this. Again, I'm gonna start watching the other Goosebumps episodes and eventually delve into other TV shows, but it's just I don't have as much time. But it'll be a once in a while thing. So I really enjoyed talking about the first episode of Goosebumps on Netflix. So thanks guys so much for watching. Tell me down below what your thoughts about this and about this episode, maybe even your favorite episode. So thank you so much for watching.